Hello students, welcome to science tutorial. Once again I have come with a new video, that is class 9. According to NCERT syllabus, it is chapter number 6 and the chapter name is tissue, and this is the second biology chapter. Before watching the video, do one thing: like, share and subscribe my channel, and also hit the bell icon, that whenever I will upload a new video, you will get the notification. So now come to the chapter. So now we will see what are the things we will learn from this chapter. First we will learn about the tissue. So what is tissue? In one sentence, tissues are nothing but a group of similar type of cells which are performing together a particular type of work. So tissue means a group of cells. That means multicellular organism. Okay, so we can see the tissue in multicellular organism. As we know, plant and animals both are the multicellular organism. So first we learn about the plant tissue and next we learn about animal tissue. So now see, in plant tissue, what are the things or what type of plant tissue we can see, that we'll learn. First, plant tissue divided into two types. One is meristematic tissue and another one is permanent tissue. Meristematic tissue are also divided into three types depending on their position. First one is apical, second one is lateral, and third one is intercalary. Next, we learn about permanent tissue. Permanent tissue is also divided into two types. What are that? Simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. See, as we know, permanent tissue is divided into two types. One is simple, another one is complex. Simple permanent tissue is also divided into three types. What are that? Parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Next one is complex. Complex is also divided two types, xylem and phloem. Xylems are four types. What are that? Trachea, vessels, xylem parenchyma and xylem fiber. And phloem we can see, in case of phloem tissue, five types of tissue we can see. What are that? Sieve cells, sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem fiber and parenchyma. Here the names are very difficult, but when we'll go to the discussion, it will get easier for us and we will remember easily. So now come to the next. Now we learn about the definition of tissue. As I told you that in case of multicellular organism, we can see the tissue. So see here, a group of specialized cells that are similar in structure. So some cells which are similar in structure and or work together to achieve a particular function, these may are tissue. So in case of tissue, a group of cells are required. In the same way, in multicellular organism, tissues are also different types. So, some tissues which are similar in structure and these are working together and achieve a particular function, they make an organ. When some organs are working together to achieve a particular function, then it will form a system. What is system? In our body, we are also multicellular organism. In our body, there are so many systems. What are that? Like digestive system, reproductive system, respiratory system. These are the system. So when so many systems are present in a particular type of thing, then it will form an organism. So whatever we have seen here, these are basically group of work. Cells are also making some group and they forming a tissue. Tissues are also making some group and they form organs. Like in our body, so many organs are present, like brain, stomach, intestine. These are the organs in our body. In same way, plants are also, they have also some cells, they have tissues. organ, system, everything are present there. And when the organs work together and they make some group and they form one system, and when some systems are working together, that is system means the basic things like when we are taking food, it will digest inside our body. This is the digestive system. We are inhaling oxygen and exhaling carbon dioxide. That is also here, also some organs are required, that is the respiratory system. And then when some systems are performing in a particular type of things or particular body, then it will form an organism. Now come to the animal tissue. First of all, you think animals can move from one place to another place for searching food, for searching mate, for doing some activities, but plant can't move from one place to another place. By standing in one place, they do all the work. So for that, standing in one place, they need support. So for that, in plant, large number of supportive tissues are present because they have to stand in one place and they have to do all those work. So for that reason, in plant, large number of supportive tissues are present. Then supportive tissues generally have dead cells. Supportive tissue means they are dead cells. The growth in plant is limited to certain regions. That means in case of plant, the growth are limited, like either top of the shoot or top of the root, a particular region, that growth is limited. Some tissues in plant divided throughout the life. So in case of plant, the cell division occurs throughout the life. Then we see types of plant tissue. Generally, plant tissues are two types. What are that? One is meristematic, another one is permanent. Now see, what is meristematic tissue? Actually, the meristematic tissues are responsible for plant growth. So, already you knew that plants grew throughout the life. So, here you see tissues made up of actively dividing cells. That means meristematic tissues are responsible for growth of a plant. Present in growing areas of plant, as these are the growing tissues, so it is present in the growing area of a plant body. Have dense cytoplasm. These meristematic tissues, the cells have dense cytoplasm, thin cellulose wall, prominent nuclei. As we already knew, for cell division, nucleus played one important role. So, in case of meristematic tissue, these cells are actively dividing. So, here nuclei also prominent. Lack of vacuoles. We already knew that vacuoles are mainly storage part of a cell. So, as the meristematic tissue always dividing, that are actively dividing cell, so here vacuoles are not much more needed thing. So here lack of vacuoles, intracellular space. In that picture you see right side here how the cells are situated. These are tightly packed. There are no space in between the cells. So here no intracellular space are present. Now we'll discuss about types of meristematic tissues. Meristematic tissues are three types: apical meristem, lateral meristem and intercalary meristem. First one, apical meristem, present at the growing tips of stem and root. That picture right side, here you see that green mark point at the tip of the stem. This portion meristematic tissues are called apical meristematic tissue. These meristematic tissues are responsible for increasing length of stem and root. So these apical meristematic tissues are responsible for this particular portion growth. That means increasing length of the stem and the root. Next, lateral meristem. By hearing the term, you can understand where it may present. See the same picture. Lateral meristem are present in the lateral portion of plant body. So that That is the lateral meristematic tissue. Next, see, responsible for increasing the girth of its stem and root. So where it is present, it will increase that particular portion's growth. So lateral meristem are responsible increasing the girth of its stem and root. Next, intercalary meristem. Located near the node or the base of the leaves in some plants. Here you see that middle portion, that is called nodular portion. Here the meristematic tissues are called intercalary meristem. So intercalary meristematic tissue are responsible for growth of nodular area. That particular area growth are depends on intercalary meristematic tissue. Now we learn about the plant permanent tissue. A well differentiated plant tissue derived from meristematic tissue which has lost its ability to divide. When we studied the meristematic tissue, there we saw in case of meristematic tissues, cells are actively dividing, always dividing. When these cells lost its ability to divide, then it will form a permanent tissue. So, permanent tissues are derived from the meristematic tissue. Now see, differentiation, a new term. What is differentiation? The process of taking up permanent shape, size and functions, that is called differentiation. Here we saw a well differentiated plant. So what is well differentiated plant? That means when meristematic tissues taking up a permanent shape, size and a function, that process is called differentiation. Now we'll see what are the characteristics of permanent tissue. This is large central vacuoles are present. So in case of meristematic tissue, there we saw that lack of vacuoles, as the vacuoles are the storage part of a cell. So the permanent tissues has lost their ability to divide. So here vacuoles are necessary. So large central vacuoles are present. Cell wall thick or thin, both type we can see in case of permanent tissue. Present beneath the meristematic tissue. As we know, permanent tissues are derived from the meristematic tissue. So it is present beneath the meristematic tissue. Give protection and support of plants. It gives the protection and support of a plant. Now we'll see the simple permanent tissue. What is simple permanent tissue? A permanent tissue composed of only one type of cells. So here also we can see only one type of cells are present. That means simple permanent tissue. Occurrence means where we can find that simple permanent tissue. A few layers of cells beneath the epidermis. What is epidermis? In this point, you just remember the epidermis is the outermost layer of the cells or the tissues. That is called epidermis. Later we will discuss about the epidermis. This is a type of protective cell. We will discuss later. Now in this point, you just remember that is the uppermost layer. Then different types of simple permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissues are also different types. What are that? First one is parenchyma. Parenchyma, what is parenchyma? Consists of relatively unspecialized cell. Cell wall is thin. So here the parenchyma, the cell walls are thin. Cells are loosely arranged, thus large intracellular space present. See, if the cells are loosely arranged, see the picture right side. Here the cells are loosely arranged, so we can see the space. This is called intracellular space. So in case of parenchymal cell, we can see the intracellular space because the cells are loosely arranged. Function: generally store food. That parenchymal tissues are mainly responsible for storing the food. In one more new term, that is you see chlorenchyma. So this is also a type of parenchyma. When in parenchyma chlorophyll is present, then this type of parenchyma is called chlorenchyma. as it is this type of cells, we can see the chlorophyll, so it is responsible for photosynthesis. So what is the definition? In some situation, parenchymal cells consist chlorophyll and perform photosynthesis, and then it is called chlorenchyma. So chlorenchyma means chlorophyll or chloroplast present, and these cells are mainly responsible for photosynthesis. Now one more parenchyma we can see, that is called arenchyma. Here, by hearing the term, you can understand what is the meaning. Aren, that is related to air. So see what is the definition of arenchyma. In some aquatic plants, large air cavities are present in parenchyma type is called arenchyma. When in parenchyma type of cell, if air cavities are present, that particular type of parenchyma are called arenchyma. This type of tissues we can find in aquatic plants. What are the functions? Provide buoyancy to aquatic plants. So, and it is present in this type of parenchyma, air cavities are present, so it helps to float the aquatic plants, allow the gas circulation, and it also helps to allow the gas circulation. See that right side picture, that is the arenchyma picture. Here that large cavities, these are called air cavity, and this type of parenchyma cells are called arenchyma. Now we learn about the collenchyma. First we will see where we can find the collenchyma. Found in leaf stalk below the epidermis. So below the epidermis we can see the collenchyma. What is epidermis? Epidermis is the outermost layer of cells. So below the epidermis we can see the collenchyma. Now we will see the structure, means how it is looking like and what are the things we can see in collenchyma. First one, that is cells are living. Cells of these are living. So collenchymal cells are living cells and these are elongated. Next, irregularly thickened at the corner. That right side picture you see that these are the collenchymal cells. Here you can see the corner are irregularly thickened. Next, very little intracellular space present. So, in case of collenchyma, we can see the intracellular space, but these are very little. Now, we will see the functions. It allows bending of various parts of a plant like tendrils and stem or climbers without breaking. We know plants are different type, like some plants climber, that means they need support to climb up high, like bottle gourd plant, that is a climber plant. There we can see the tendrils. So in that case we can see the collenchyma, and this collenchyma helps to climb or hold something through the tendrils without breaking. This collenchymal tissue helps the plant to climb up high. Next, as it is giving support, so this is provide mechanical support. Third type of simple permanent tissue, this is named as sclerenchyma. Where we can find the sclerenchyma? Anywhere in plant body, including stem, root and vascular bundle. So anywhere we can find the sclerenchyma. Structure, how it is looking like? Cells of these tissues are dead. Previously we already studied that in case of collenchyma, cells are living, but in case of sclerenchyma, that tissues are dead. Long and narrow, the type of or structure of these cells are long and narrow. Wall are so thick. Here you see these are the right side picture, that is a sclerenchyma tissue. Here you can see the walls, these are very thick. Intracellular space absent. That's why here intracellular space absent, that means cells are tightly bound to each other. So here intracellular space absent. Functions, what are the functions? Provide strength to the plant parts. So where it is present in that particular portion, it provides the strength. This type of tissue make the plant hard and stiff. Example, husk of a coconut. So that outermost layer of a coconut, that are the sclerenchyma tissue. That is a type of simple permanent tissue and named as sclerenchyma. Now we learn about protective tissue. By hearing the term, you can understand protective means this type of tissues give protection of the plant. So first one is epidermis. What is epidermis? Outermost layer of cells. In that down picture you see that outermost layer, that green color. Left side this picture, that outermost, and in that right side that brown color, that is the epidermis. That outermost layer of cells, this is called epidermis. Usually made up of single layer. Here this type of tissues made up of a single layer, no intracellular space. Here we can't see the intracellular space. Most epidermal cells are relatively flat. How it is looking like? The epidermal cells are relatively flat. This is the picture. Actually, this is the section of a stem, that outermost covering, that is the epidermis, and up of the epidermis some cuticles are present. After the epidermis you can see the collenchyma, that here that right side, that green color, that compartment like, these are called collenchyma. Next of the collenchyma, parenchyma cells are present, and down phloem, then xylem, vascular bundle, these are the tissues are present, and this is the section of a stem. Now we'll learn about the functions of epidermis. As we already learned that epidermis is the protective tissue. So first point, it is protect all parts of plant. So it gives protection all parts of the plant. In dry habitats, plants epidermis is thicker to protect water loss. So we know that in dry habitat water scarcity is there. So in that area, that the plant epidermis are thicker. Why it is thicker? To protect the water loss. Epidermal cells on the aerial parts often secrete a waxy water resistance layer on the outer surface that protect the water loss. So we know that epidermis is thicker in dry habitat plants, and it also protects the water loss, because in the dry habitat water scarcity is there. So how it is protecting the water loss? To secrete a special type of substance, that is secrete a waxy substance, that is water resistant layer, and it is stored in the outer surface, and it protects the water loss. And this waxy substance also do a more thing, that is waxy and water resistance layer also protect mechanical injury and invasion of parasitic fungi. So as it is the waxy substance, so it is also protect to enter some fungi, parasitic fungi infection. In that epidermis, some pores we can see, that is called stomata. Now we'll see the stomata. What is stomata? Small pores present in the epidermis of the leaf called stomata. So epidermis has some pores in the leaf portion, that is called stomata. Why it is present at that leaf? Because we know through the leaf only that gaseous exchange happens. So in epidermis some pores are present, this is called stomata. So as the spores are present, so there must be some gap, and there one type of cells we can find, this is kidney shaped cell. See the picture, these are the kidney shaped cell, and this is called the gourd cell. So when it is open, that gaseous exchange or the water exchange is possible. When it is closed, that is not possible. So this type of cells are called gourd cell. See, stomata are enclosed by two kidney-shaped cells called guard cells, which are necessary for exchanging gases with the atmosphere. Next, transpiration also takes place through the stomata. I already told these guard cells are responsible for gaseous exchange or water exchange. So, water exchange, that means transpiration, and gaseous exchange, that is for the photosynthesis or for living the plant, that for that reason gaseous exchange is required. So that is happening through that stomata, and these are the guard cells. These are guarding. When these are closed, that water exchange is, or that gaseous exchange is not happening. When it is open, the gaseous exchange and the water exchange is happening. Next, we learn about second type of protective cells, that is called core. Generally, one thing you remember, protective cells mean that are the dead cells. Okay. So first we learn that epidermis. Epidermis means outer layer, outermost layer. After that, cork is present. So what is cork? A protective cells grow older. The outer protective tissues undergoes certain changes. A strip of secondary meristem located in the cortex form of cells which constitute the cork. So, a strip of secondary meristem located in the cortex form layer of cells which constitute the cork. So, cork is a type of cortex form that derive from the meristematic tissue only. When the protective cells are getting older, that time we can see the cork. Here in that picture down you see outermost, I already told, outermost layer, that is also a protective layer, that is the epidermis, and down of that epidermis we can see the cork. When the protective cells getting older, actually protective cells we are getting protective or permanent tissue, these all we are getting from the meristematic tissue only. When they lost their ability to divide, so when the meristematic tissue getting older, so there are certain changes, and this changes is happening like a cortex form. This is called cork. Here you can see the down uppermost, that is the epidermis, and down this is called cork. Structure, how it is looking like. Cells of the cork are dead. As we know, the protective cells, these are mainly dead cells. So cork are also a protective cell. So here we can see the cells of the cork are dead. Compactly arranged. Compactly arranged means we can't see any intracellular space. So next point you see intracellular space absent. Next one, suberin present, which protect water loss. In that epidermis, there also we learn that a type of substance, water resistant substance, is secreted from the epidermis. In the same way, here also in cork also one chemical substance is present, that is called suberin, that also protect the water loss. So from this video what we learned, that is types of plant tissue. Mainly two types plant tissue we can find, that is meristematic and permanent. Meristematics are also three types: apical, lateral and intercalary. Permanent are two types: simple and complex. In simple permanent tissue we saw parenchyma, collenchyma and erenchyma, and one more type of special tissue, that is the protective tissue we have learned, and that in next video we will learn about the complex permanent tissue. So if you like my video, do like, share, subscribe and hit the bell icon, that whenever I will upload a new video you will get the notification. Thank you. We'll meet soon with a new video. Thank you. We'll meet soon with a new video. Bye bye.